Author Charles Brandt recently shared some information on the script process for Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. Brandt penned the novel I Heard You Paint Houses, upon which the film is based. It tells the story of Irish hitman Frank Sheeran and his days of working for mob boss Russell Bufalino and Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa. The Irish Examiner reports that when he discovered Scorsese was interested in making a movie out of his book, Brandt said, "I was jumping up and down, doing cartwheels. It was incredible. Marty is the perfect man for this script, for this book, especially the subject. That's his wheelhouse, as we say." The film's development phase started in around 2009, but the road to it finally being made has been a long and bumpy one. Sheeran recalls that, "I went to a meeting with Marty at the Parker Meridian in New York that was supposed to last an hour, and we ended up talking for 4 hours. I needed patience, so I prayed for patience. I was raised Catholic, so I knew how to do it. The next thing, I got a call from Bob De Niro, years later, in 2016, and he wanted to know if I planned on being in New York anytime soon." After this, Brandt helped the filmmakers work on the script for the film. He said, "They rented me a hotel near Marty's office, and I got a series of scripts I was to make notes on, and then we'd have a meeting. It was Martin Scorsese, Bob De Niro, Steven Zellane, and Charles Brandt. We did that for 2 months, and the final script, I said, I have no notes. This is the Frank Sheeran I knew, and this is his journey. That was the last script I got, and then they began filming." Brandt also spoke of his relationship with Sheeran himself, talking about their respect for one another and their similar Catholic background. "Frank and I became close. There was a mutual affection and respect. He knew what I did and respected what I did, even though I was on the opposite side to his world, a prosecutor and a homicide investigator, and he was a perpetrator of homicides. As my wife put it, he was so charming, and when she left his company, she would have to remind herself he was a murderer. Being raised Catholic was very important. He'd introduce me as either the Holy Roller or Mr. Prosecutor, depending on the technique I was using. He was tortured by his conscience as far as the Hoffa murder was concerned. Frank was a strict Catholic. His father studied to be a priest for 5 years, and his mother went to Mass every morning. He didn't even know there was such a thing as organized crime until he fell in with the mafia and became an integral part of it. He got absolution from the hospital priest. In a sense it was sad, but he died the way he wanted to die, in a state of grace. That was his goal. I was a father confessor to him. I played that role. When he got absolution, the priest didn't require the details, just that he was truly sorry for the life he lived." Brandt then delivered high praise of Robert De Niro and his transformation into the role of Frank Sheeran, and from the sounds of it, De Niro went a little bit method with his role. Of course, Bob is part Irish through his mother. I was on the set a couple of times and everyone was talking about the amazing job he was doing, the way he was channeling Frank. To see the makeup job that was done on him, it was incredible. He looked exactly like Frank. It was scary. One time we were chatting and I was telling him what a great job he'd done, and he bent over and kissed me on the cheek. So the more we talked, the more kisses I got. We finished and he must have kissed me 5 times. 6 times, said my wife. I counted. So some interesting words from Brandt. It's cool to hear that the book he wrote was approved by Frank Sheeran himself, and the final script that Scorsese shot the film with was approved by Brandt. To see that Sheeran describes it as "this is the Frank Sheeran I knew" and "this is his journey" are comforting words, because not only do they highlight the filmmaker's dedication to getting the real story to the big screen, but also show they achieved it. This is also interesting news for those who have read the script for the film that was leaked a few years back. If you don't know, draft 1 to 5 of Zellane's screenplay was leaked, and many people, myself included, have read it. I reviewed it on this channel, by the way. This was the script that apparently Robert De Niro, Al Pacino and Joe Pesci together in a script reading read, where they laughed at the wise guy humour. Though it was great, you could tell it was an early draft as it was a little rough around the edges. To know that they went back and had 2 months worth of work done for it, featuring input from 3 Oscar winners Scorsese, Zellane and De Niro, not to mention the stamp of approval from the author of the book, is very exciting stuff. When you accumulate this with the other news regarding the film, like the rest of the cast, the budget, and the fact that there's close to 300 scenes in the film, it's shaping up to be a classic. Also interesting is Brandt's approval of De Niro. There's been this major question mark over De Niro over the last few years, with there being a school of thought that he hasn't pushed himself as an actor in a long time, and the question has rose as to whether he still has the goods. Even if you don't doubt his acting talents, there are still those who feel he was miscast as the towering brute Frank Sheeran. But we can hear from the author himself here, the man who knew Sheeran so closely, talking about how scary and incredible it was how much De Niro resembled him. The Irishman is set to be released in late 2019. Thanks for watching.